Hello and welcome. There are some big changes happening at the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles that we want you to be aware of so that you can make your next interaction with us as successful as possible. Starting March 26, 2018, a set of new federal requirements comes into effect for the RMV. The result of these requirements is that we will begin issuing two new types of driver's licenses and ID cards. The first is called a Real ID Massachusetts Driver's License or ID card, and the second is called a Standard Massachusetts Driver's License or ID card. Let's start with the Real ID. The term Real ID comes from the Real ID Act of 2005, which is a law that was passed by Congress establishing a minimum set of security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and identification cards. It was passed after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, in part to provide an additional layer of identity verification to the driver's license and ID card process. This helps to increase the security in the U.S. by reducing the ability to use fraudulent documents to obtain an official ID. Under this law, by October 1, 2020, every person in the U.S. who wants to use their state-issued driver's license or ID card for entrance into certain federal buildings or to fly within the U.S. must have a Real ID. Other acceptable forms of ID, like a valid passport, may still be used for these purposes. However, if you want to use your driver's license or ID card, it must be a Real ID. In order to get a Real ID from Massachusetts, you have to prove that you meet the requirements established in the Real ID Act. One requirement that begins March 26, 2018, is that we must verify every customer's lawful presence status, including yours, in order to be eligible for a driver's license or ID card. You need to provide proof of lawful presence for both a Real ID and a standard card, whether you are obtaining the card for the first time or renewing your current card. Simply put, lawful presence means that a person is legally living in the U.S. according to federal immigration laws. All U.S. citizens have permanent lawful presence in the U.S. Non-U.S. citizens who are studying, working, or living temporarily in the U.S. may have temporary lawful presence that may vary in its length. After March 26, 2018, our customers will need to provide additional documentation or information to prove their lawful presence and obtain a Real ID or standard driver's license or ID card. For U.S. citizens, a valid, unexpired U.S. passport is sufficient proof of lawful presence and would be run through a United States Passport Verification Services or USPVS check for validity. U.S. citizens may also provide a certified copy of their U.S. birth certificate. For those customers who are not U.S. citizens, valid, verifiable immigration documents need to be provided, as well as proof that the person has been granted a legal stay in the U.S. for at least 12 months. Their immigration status will be confirmed with a check through the Department of Homeland Security's program called SAVE, or the Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements program. If verified through SAVE, their driver's license or ID card will be coterminous with the length of their stay, meaning the expiration date on their card will be the same as the expiration date of the end of their authorized stay in the U.S. If the customer does not pass these checks, he or she will not be eligible for a driver's license or ID card at that time. The next requirement is specific to Real ID. It requires every person who is getting a Real ID driver's license or ID card for the first time to come into an RMV service center so that we can capture your photo, physically verify your documents, and then authenticate and scan the documents into our system. This applies to all first-time Real ID applicants, even if you have held a driver's license or ID card in Massachusetts for years. For Real ID, in addition to the lawful presence documentation, when you come in, you will need to provide one supporting document that shows your Social Security number, which will also be electronically verified through the Social Security Administration's Social Security Online Verification System called SOLVE. Or, if you do not have a Social Security number, you must provide a denial letter from the Social Security Administration, a valid unexpired foreign passport, which will be verified through SAVE, and must be affixed with your unexpired U.S. visa and accompanied by the approved I-94 form for your most recent admittance into the U.S. You also need to bring in two documents that show your Massachusetts residency. Most residency documents must reflect the current year and/or be dated within 60 days. All documents that you provide must be valid and unexpired. Photocopies will not be accepted, and one document cannot be used as proof for more than one requirement. Some customers will never need a Real ID. For those who do not often fly, or do not plan to fly in the U.S. or enter federal buildings after October 1st, 2020, you may decide a Real ID is not for you. Or, if you have an active passport, passport card, or even a global entry card that you are comfortable carrying, you may use these forms of identification to fly domestically starting October 1st, 2020. Individuals with access to these other types of IDs can use these TSA-approved documents for passing through airport security. A U.S. Department of Defense ID, including IDs issued to dependents, federally recognized tribal-issued photo IDs, transportation worker identification credentials, and U.S. Merchant Mariner credentials. For those customers who don't want or need a Real ID, there will be an option to get a standard Massachusetts driver's license or ID card. To be clear, a standard card is still a valid credential and form of identification. A standard Massachusetts driver's license will still allow an individual all of the same driving privileges and have the same fees as a Real ID. However, after October 2020, a standard card cannot be used to fly within the U.S. or enter federal buildings that require identification. As mentioned, for a standard card, customers will still need to prove lawful presence. You may come into an RMV service center with your lawful presence document to fulfill this requirement, or if you are otherwise eligible to renew online, meaning your photo and vision tests are up to date, and have a lawful presence document that can be verified through our online service center, then you can save a trip to the service center to renew for a standard card online. We know this is going to be a busy time at the RMV, and we're doing all we can to make the transition to Real ID as seamless as possible. We're making some improvements to help make your next interaction with the RMV as successful as possible. One improvement is that we are extending the time period for when you need a new photo for your driver's license or ID card. Instead of requiring a new photo every 9 years, we will now require a new photo every 14 years. This means that some people who were originally not eligible to renew online during their next renewal cycle because they needed a new picture may in fact be eligible to renew online if they would like a standard card and can successfully prove lawful presence online. There are certain times this extension does not apply. One is for when customers turn age 20 or 21, a new photo is still required, and for those age 75 and older, a new photo is still required every 5 years. We also understand that you may have more questions about Real ID. We currently offer an online web wizard called Real ID Real Answers that is available to guide customers to understand if a Real ID is their best option. You can go to mass.gov/RealID to see some important Real ID information and select the Real ID Wizard tool to find out if you need a Real ID at your next renewal. Our partnership with AAA will also support our transition to Real ID. Customers who are AAA members and already hold a Massachusetts driver's license or ID card will have the option to renew for a Real ID at a AAA location instead of a service center, as long as they meet all of the Real ID requirements. However, AAA will not be able to issue a credential for a customer who is applying for a driver's license or ID card from Massachusetts for the first time. And finally, we have made great improvements to our online service center that make it easy for our customers to get ready online. Our website allows our customers to easily find the transaction that they would like to complete and initiate it online by filling out an application. Many of our services will be able to be completed online, like a change of address, a duplicate ID card, or paying a citation. Those transactions that cannot be completed online, like getting a Real ID, should still be started online. Getting ready online using your computer or phone will allow you to fill in all of your relevant personal information to initiate the application process. Once you have entered in your data, you will be able to print a confirmation that gives instructions on everything you need to bring with you to a service center or AAA location to complete your transaction. You will also receive a copy of this confirmation page via email for your records. If you print out that confirmation page, or pull it up on your smartphone once you get to a service center, we will be able to scan a barcode on that page and issue you a ticket right away, instead of waiting in line to get a service ticket. Once you get to the RMV Service Center or AAA counter to complete your transaction, the clerk will be able to pull up your application information that you entered online using either the barcode or confirmation code on the application. This will make for less data entry on the clerk's part and a quicker transaction process for everyone. Remember, the RMV will not begin issuing Real IDs until March 26, 2018, so the ability to get ready online for a Real ID won't be available until that day. As you can see, there are a lot of good things happening at the RMV. We will continually be working to keep you informed about all of the changes we are making, so be sure to check out our website, mass.gov/RMV, and our Twitter page, @MassRMV, regularly to keep up to date on all of the latest information that will help make your interactions with the RMV as quick and easy as possible.